Good morning, boys and girls. I'm going to carry on reading another Dr Seuss book. This one's also an old favourite, and you can see by the spine it's been well used. It's called Horton Hatches the Egg. Sighed Mayzie, a bird hatching an egg. I'm tired and bored, and I've got kinks in my leg. Just sitting here day after day. It's work. How I hate it. I'd much rather play. I'd take a vacation, for I offer a rest, if I could find someone to stay on my nest. If I could find someone, I'd fly away free. Then Horton, the elephant, passed by her tree. There he is. There's Mayzie. "Hello," called the lazy bird in a lazy bird way, smiling her best. "I've nothing to do, and I do need a rest. Would you, Horton, like to sit on the egg in my nest?" The elephant laughed. Oh, I think that's how elephants laugh. "Why, of all silly things, I haven't feathers and I haven't wings. Me on your egg? Why, that doesn't make sense. Your egg is so small, ma'am, and I am so immense." "Tut, tut," answered Mayzie. "I know you're not small, but I'm sure you could do it. No trouble at all. Just sit on it softly. You're gentle and kind. Just sit on it softly. Come on, I know you won't mind." "I can't," said the elephant. "Please," begged the bird. "I won't be gone long, I'll give you my word. I'll hurry right back, while I'll never be missed." "Very well," said the elephant, "if you insist. You want a vacation? Go, fly off and take it. I'll sit on your egg, I'll try not to break it. I'll stay and be faithful, I mean what I say." "Toodaloo," sang out Mayzie and fluttered away. The first thing to do," murmured Horton. "Let's see. The first thing to do is prop up the tree and make it much stronger. That has to be done before I get on. I must weigh a ton." There's old Horton propping up the tree. Then carefully, tenderly, gently he crept up the trunk to the nest where the little egg slept. Then Horton the elephant smiled. "Now that's that." And he sat, and he sat, and he sat, and he sat. And he sat all that day, and he kept the egg warm, and he sat all that night through a terrible storm. Poor Horton. It poured, and it lightninged, it thundered, it rumbled. "It isn't much fun," the poor elephant grumbled. "I wish he'd come back, 'cause I'm cold and I'm wet. I hope that Mayzie bird doesn't forget." So Horton kept sitting there day after day, and soon it was autumn. The leaves blew away. Then came the winter, the snow and the sleet, and icicles hung from his trunk and his feet. But Horton kept sitting, and said with a sneeze, "I'll stay on this egg. I won't let it freeze." I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. So poor Horton sat there the whole winter through. Oh, we've missed a bit about Mayzie. But Mayzie by this time was far beyond reach, enjoying the sunshine way off in Palm Beach, and having such fun, such a wonderful rest. Decided she'd never go back to her nest. He's poor old Horton, so he went all through the winter. So poor Horton sat there the whole winter through, and then came the springtime with troubles anew. His friends gathered around, they shouted with glee, "Look, Horton the elephant's up a tree!" They taunted, they teased, they yelled, "How absurd! Old Horton the elephant, he thinks he's a bird! Ha, ha, ha!" They laughed, and they all ran away. And Horton was lonely. He wanted to play. But he sat on the egg and continued to say, I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful 100%. No matter what happens, this egg must be tended. But poor Horton's troubles were far, far from ended. For while Horton sat there so faithful, so kind, 3 hunters came sneaking up softly behind. He heard the men's footsteps. He turned with a start. 3 rifles were aiming straight at his heart. Did he run? He did not. Horton stayed on that nest. He drew his head high. He threw out his chest. He looked at the hunters as much to say, shoot if you must, I won't run away. I meant what I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful 100%. But the men didn't shoot. Much to Horton's surprise, they dropped their 3 guns and they stared with wide eyes. Look, they all shouted. Can such a thing be? An elephant sitting on top of a tree? It's strange, it's amazing, it's wonderful, new. Don't shoot him, we'll catch him. That's just what we'll do. Let's take him alive. Why, he's terribly funny. We'll sell him back home to a circus for money. And the first thing he knew, they'd built a big wagon with ropes on the front for the pullers to drag on. They dug up his tree and they put it inside, with Horton so sad that he practically cried. We're off, the men shouted, and off they all went, with Horton unhappy 100%. Up out of the jungle, up into the sky, up over the mountains 10,000 feet high, down the mountains, down to the sea, went the cart with the elephant, nest, egg and tree. Then out of the wagon and onto a ship, out over the ocean. Oh, what a trip! Rolling and tossing and splashed with spray, and Horton said day after day, I meant what I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful 100%. After bobbing around for 2 weeks like a cork, they landed at last in a town called New York. All ashore, the men shouted, and down with a lurch went Horton the elephant, still on his perch, tied onto a board that could just scarcely hold him. Bump! Horton landed, and then the men sold him. Sold to a circus. Then week after week they showed him to people at 10 cents a peek. They took him to Boston, to Kalamazoo, Chicago, Weehawken, and Washington too, to Dayton, Ohio, St. Paul, Minnesota, to Wichita, Kansas, to Drake, North Dakota. And everywhere thousands of people flocked to see and laugh at the elephant up in a tree. Poor Horton grew sadder. Farther he went. And he said as he sat in that hot, noisy tent, I meant what I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful 100%. Then one day the circus show happened to reach a town way down south, not so far from Palm Beach. And dawdling along way high up in the sky, who, of all people, birds, should chance to fly by, but that old good-for-nothing bird, runaway Mayzie. Still on vacation and still just as lazy, and spying the flags and tent spots below, she sang out, What fun! Why, I'll go to the show. And she swooped from the clouds through an open tent door. Good gracious, gasped Mayzie, I've seen you before. Poor Horton looked up with his face white as chalk. He started to speak, but before he could talk, there rang out the noisiest, ear-splitting squeaks from the egg that he'd sat on for 51 weeks. A thumping, a bumping, a wild, alive scratching. My egg, shouted Horton, my egg, why, it's hatching. Dun, da, 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 da. But it's mine, screamed the bird, When she heard the egg crack, the work was all done. Now she wanted it back. "It's my egg," she spluttered. "You stole it from me. Get off my nest and out of my tree." Poor Horton backed down with a sad, heavy heart. But at that very instant, the egg burst apart, and out of the pieces of red and white shell from the egg that he'd sat on so long and so well, Horton the elephant saw something whiz. It had ears and a tail and a trunk, just like his. And the people came shouting, "What's all this about?" They looked and they stared with their eyes popping out. Then they cheered and cheered, and they cheered more and more. They'd never seen anything like it before. "My goodness, my gracious," they shouted. "My word, it's something brand new. It's an elephant bird." And it should be like that, because Horton was faithful. He sat and sat. He said what he meant, and he meant what he said. He meant what he said, and he said what he meant. And they sent him home happy, 100%. Wonder what happened to poor old Mayzie bird. Yeah. Well, it's an interesting story, isn't it? Being faithful 100%. Dear old Horton. You meant to think of Mayzie as the baddie, but I don't really think of Mayzie as the baddie. You could say she's the little elephant bird's mum. There's dear old Horton sitting on the tree and those nasty hunters, whipping him out of his natural habitat, sending him off to a zoo. Don't like that either. Anyway, it's kind of fun, all these rhyming stories, aren't they? Have a great week. Bye.